to take a moment. First of all, I just want to talk about Conversation Association of Psychotherapists. And Carol actually has been a part of this organization for quite some time, so we can both have a discussion about it. But Conversation Association of Psychotherapists has been supporting unlicensed psychotherapists. That's what they're calling us now. We all like to registered psychotherapist or whatever better before, but the idea is that people who weren't necessarily licensed in the state of Colorado have the opportunity to practice and create affiliation and connection with other people and get support. And initially, it was set up as a legislative organization, but we've kind of, based on current circumstances, switched to mostly educational and maybe community support as we go forward. So really want to make sure that people who are hearing the recording, that have an opportunity to be part of a Colorado Association of Psychotherapists, either donating or giving to the organization, that is awesome. And then that allows us to continue to provide programs for people that are in our particular field and maybe aren't considered licensed here in Colorado. So I'm going to introduce Carol, and she could talk about that if she'd like to. But Carol is a former international business consultant, a Buddhist priest, which I didn't know about until we had that interview that we did the other day. So that was kind of fun. Has a master's in divinity and then started working as a therapist in 2006. So the big thing that Carol's focusing on here is focusing on enabling people to learn about their own superpowers. And kind of our intention here is to focus on therapists that are working with elders, or even if you are experiencing or have elders in your own family, how do you work with them? How do you support those people that are going through that? So, Carol, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, a part of what I want to, a key aspect of working with elders is practicing respect. Just real simple. It's the same practice that you do with your other clients of using the name with which they wish to be addressed. It's also about not demanding, taking the time to ask questions. In other words, very simple practice of meeting your client where they are. And the principles and exercises that you can use, basically, I would summarize them as coaching your client on how to step out of depression and any other limiting conditions that they have, just as similar as you work with your other clients. But some key insights that I want to share about Powers for Living Well is that aging is a constant process. Every morning you wake up, you've got another day behind you. For me, I wake up and I want to look in that closet and find another body, but for some reason there isn't one in there. I'm stuck with the one I got. And that's true for all your clients. So life is a bit like an ocean. There are days when there's calm seas and you can get through it. And other times there's raging storms and life is just plain frustrating. So what we want to do is to help our clients ride the ride the waves of life instead of being just tossed around by them. So it's a practice of a key power that all of us have, if we use it, is the power of acceptance. So it's accepting what's happening, even though we're not in control. So many elders slip into the thoughts, just because of quote unquote age, that I cannot, I'm too old, I'm a burden, this is painful. You've heard those in your sessions. And the underlying assumption is that often it's frustration resentment, or anger about not being in control. And so if you can dig underneath, help your clients look underneath the anger or underneath the fear to help find what beliefs are guiding those thoughts. And what's interesting is that many times we fall into the trap of thinking we're not in control. And then we start carrying around these mantras. If only I had, if I didn't do, if I had the energy, blah, blah, blah. It's that old mantra of coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's very powerful because it's circular and it leads us right back to where we started from, frustration. And so what you can guide your clients with is noticing when they've fallen into that mantra and when are they relying or using irritation to guide their behaviors. I actually was inspired by a friend of mine who had serious dementia, because when she couldn't remember something, she just turned to her husband or whoever was nearby and asked a question. She was comfortable asking, did I go to the doctor's on Tuesday? Or was that from last week? So it's guiding your clients to just sort of accept who they are and the conditions that they have. It's a practice of, well, I guess I can share it as I remember when visiting in Indonesia, my grandchildren's great grandmother, she had what we as Westerners would define as a serious case of Alzheimer's, but she was accepted as part of the family, ran around. And when I first visited, especially because she didn't speak English, the family members there explained to her very slowly who I was and why I was there at the celebration of their new great granddaughter. And finally, she smiled and shook my hand. And as she grasped a hold of my hand, a young woman in the village came up to be translator. And as she pulled me closer to her in a soft voice, but with a big grin on her face, her daughter translated into my ear, I'm happy you are here, but I'm going to forget all this and I'll be back. So it was my turn to smile when she came back each time, demanding to know who I was and why I was there. But it was this amazing attitude of accepting who she was each time that I found inspiring. And I think that's what we want to pass on to elder clients, that whatever the condition is, it's important to take the time to explore that. So this attitude of self-acceptance is what can give them great calm. And it helps you together with your client to explore what are the illnesses or the frustrations or changes in their life that are impacting them. So it's taking the time to explore how to respond and constantly returning them to it's their conscious choice to choose how to respond. So this power of acceptance helps your clients deal with what's happening in their world. And a key aspect, back to again that body that I can't find in my closet, is recognizing that aging means that we can embrace circumstances. We've been doing it for years, decades. So it's important to encourage your clients to live each day the best they can and then let go of the outcomes. So it's don't get too attached. That's the advice to share. Don't get too attached to outcomes. That is what causes us to be trapped by expectations for ourselves or others. And this expectation that at age 60, 70, 80, or 90, we are who we were when we were 40 isn't helpful. So it's dropping that expectation and exploring, okay, what works. Um, a friend of mine, when he was in his 90s, shared this frustration with me, and I sort of learned this lesson, or he reminded me of this important lesson. He was experiencing in his 90s, he wasn't able to walk, but he didn't want to use a cane or any other assistance. And he made it clear to me he didn't like that suggestion. So finally, I called him up, even on a day that he was really frustrated, and told him to explore options. And with that, he just sort of hung up and went about his day. But one day, his daughter took him with her to the grocery store, and she asked him to push the grocery store cart for her while she collected the groceries. He shared this experience with me because he was so excited that he got real excited when he realized he was walking faster and with more confidence than he had weeks for months. He shared with me that what he thought about when leaving the grocery store was actually stealing a grocery store cart. But fortunately, instead, he went home and ordered an online walker that even had a seat because it was similar to the grocery store cart where he could stand up straight, place both hands, and feel solid and walk. So instead of having to steal the grocery store cart, he was able to buy online a portable walker and stroll around the neighborhood. He used to always take walks around the block, and he was able to do so again. And he was able to do it because he began to accept his condition and purchase tools that would help him um, succeed and use his body in a way that was beneficial. Now, I am currently writing a book called Elderific, Accessing Your Superpowers for Living and Dying Well, because I was introduced to the superheroes by my grandson when he was in elementary school, and we began reading comic books. And what I discovered is these quote unquote superheroes are actually models for us. And they show us ways to tap into our own powers. And Superman, in particular, he frequently connected with his powers by sharing appreciation. He did so every time he helped others. After all, his alien parents, who had delivered him to Earth, had done so because their planet was destroyed. And according to the story, a couple in the United States adopted him. So he made Kansas and considered Kansas his home. And so what he portrays was that how he was able to transform his anger or sadness um, when he was dealing with those who were committing crimes or destroying property. Instead of responding with rage or whatever, he modeled how to use and tap into his frustration or anger at what they were doing as a power. So instead of flying off in a rage of anger, he made conscious choices about how he would respond. It was a model that's something each one of us can do. Because like Superman and any of the other superheroes, what you can do is, when working with a client, is help them redirect their attention or your attention by using your emotions as warning signs to pause and then take action. Um, because again, back to Superman, he's a great model because before leaping into action to deal with a crime and process, he would always just pause for a moment to calm himself. Oftentimes he did that by remembering the cornfields on the family farm when he was a child. And what we can do is remember those special people that helped us when we were children, whether it's a family member or someone else, that remind us that to use our special powers is our decision alone. It's making that conscious choice. And that our emotions, even the destructive ones, we can turn them into warning signs to make oops, it's time to make a wise choice about how to use our powers. And while volunteering as a hospital chaplain, I observed this well when I was taking care of an elder male who he was on his last. He was in the ICU and they were going to move him to hospice. But he would, his family came in and I was called up to respond to this family because the nursing staff were scared to death they were going to turn into a fight like they had before. So when I showed up, this nurse was coming to the room with the man who was in pain. She had the morphine shot to give him. But I stood there at the door looking at, there were like three people on each side of his bed. And as I listened carefully, despite seeing tears come down his face, he was telling an old family story that had them smiling. So I grabbed this nurse and I wouldn't let her in. And she was like, "Can't you see he's in pain?" And I said, "Can't you see what he's doing? He's healing his family." So it's taking the time to explore with our clients who they are and helping them see who they are. That yes, they have powers and they can share kindness and goodness. And as an Elderific, they can actually be great. And I use great as an acronym because great are the letters that identify the superpowers that your clients have, and you can help them tap into them or practice them because you know them as well too. So G is for generosity. It's taking the time to be generous with self. You don't have to give away things. You can give a smile. And a smile sometimes can uplift, especially when shared at the right moment. It's also tapping the power of relationships. So the relationships that we have with others, again, help us respond and taking the time to ask relatives and friends, okay, how do we deal with this? And you're sharing information, and that enhances and strengthens your ability to respond to situations. And one power that elders have that they use is empathy. Because how many times have you been around a younger person and thought, been there, done that? Being able to share that knowledge and information, it's a wonderful power. It helps uplift. So it's guiding your elder clients that, yeah, they've been through a lot. Okay, share it, use it. Others are going to appreciate it. And it will help them strengthen their relationships. Now, all this is part of an interesting power called awareness. If you're aware of what's happening, then you can know how to respond, or you can at least make a conscious choice about it. It's creating that, back to the story that I shared with you, that space that gives you the ability to know what's happening. It's a stop, look, and listen with awareness. Okay, gee, I'm really upset right now. blah, blah, blah. Or as I have been for the past month, oh yeah, I pulled my rotator cuff. I better not lift that. Okay. So it's helping your client spot what are their conditions and what do they need to do, not view themselves as negatively because of it. Instead, okay, this is how I'm going to deal with a situation. So, and then the final one is thankfulness. Being grateful is a um, really important power because and you've experienced it, when you're truly grateful, you feel calm. It's research is actually explaining how being grateful actually improves body, mind, and spirit. So you're able to um, find joy, and you can help your clients find joy when they are thankful. Because oftentimes, and you've probably experienced it, you innocently thank somebody for something, and they're just, whoa, so grateful to be thanked. And so it's appreciating this, it's experiencing the feelings of appreciation and realizing that appreciation or thankfulness can benefit self and others. Um, that it's an important part of daily life. So being thankful for simple interactions that occur in daily life, that's how you and your clients connect. And you can connect with the past as well as the present. Um, so you can use thankfulness to enjoy practicing awareness and receiving whatever it is you receive and experience in the environment in and around you. So that's what I have for the talk, and thought we might um, take time. Any questions, comments? Yes, and unmute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, Uh, thanks, Carol. I have one question.
Yes.
How do you deal with the anger of a person that, their capacity decrease,
Mm-hmm.
they rely on other people for daily things?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that piece, the frustration slash
Yep.
anger, probably the most difficult
Yep.
piece, right, to work.
Right. Right. There's a variety of things you can do. Um, some of them are, I mean, obviously, as the counselor, helping guide them to identifying what they do have. So it's shifting the focus away from what they don't have and cannot do to what they can do. Again, like my friend that, oh, well, if you really want to continue your walks, you got to have something to get around the block. Um, and then what happened, especially in that case, was being able to uh, experience others seeing him with a walker and actually coming out the door to greet him. There was, he'd had in his head a judgment of walkers, etc. So it's taking, as the therapist, is taking time to explore what are their beliefs about certain things, and then working with those beliefs, especially if those are beliefs that are limitations or barriers. And then the other thing you can do is encourage them with some practices, and is spending time in nature is very helpful. Um, Even if they're in a facility, being able to go outside or even look outside the window is helpful. Um, so it's doing that, and then helping them sort of back up. And again, I can't stress enough, focus on what they do have or can do. I had one woman where she was in a facility and getting her out of her room and sitting with the other residents at the table and sharing some of her wisdom. We got her talking. Um, so it's holding a lighthearted attitude, um, and letting them know because, oh, this is the other thing. If you get under the anger, get underneath the anger. What's the cause of the anger? And 9 times out of 10, it's fear. It's fear of dying, fear of losing use of the other hand or whatever it is, right? But if you can get underneath the anger and find out what's causing or driving that, and again, it's interesting how beliefs tend to do that. And in this country, I mean, we've got a belief that old, I about, and it's part of what motivated me to, I'm working on my book, is in the blankety blank Webster dictionary, one of the synonyms for old is decrepit. And that is ridiculous. But that's my mantra. Um, so at any rate, it's I would call it if you can, and I don't know that you would do it in a session, but encourage your clients to play. The practice of play is can be healing. And there's research that verifies that. So taking the time to actually play, whether it's a game or going outside or um, riding up and down the hall in the walker or the car, the little carts they have, whatever it is, something that puts a smile and if at all possible, and this is something that will also help with the anger, is shifting from experiencing anger to laughter. Laughter is, I had a psychiatric nurse once tell me, if you really want to be healthy, laugh 12 times a day. So if you can find a moment that is funny, or ask your clients to find or even share an experience that caused laughter, that will help with the healing process. Does that help?
Thank you.
Carol, so my father is 88,
Uh-huh.
and I think about as I'm going through and aging just where I'm at as well, that there seems to be a lot of elements of grieving. Like there's things that you're losing.
Right.
And, he's losing, some of his mobility, some of those elements
Mhm.
that are kind of going by the wayside. How would
Right.
you suggest that we handle this kind of loss and grieving process in a healthy way?
Treat it as truly grieving, that it's okay. And encourage them to experience the sadness, even tears. They're very helpful and they are healing. Um, to experience the sadness, but then at the same time, find a moment during the day to you again come back to using what he does have. Um, that it's sort of acknowledging that, yeah, we're changing and you have a new body. Okay, how are we going to work with it? And it's taking time, maybe even with some of his health professionals, finding what will be beneficial for him. But it's I guess the main theme in all of this is helping clients as well as ourselves not get stuck, to not get stuck with and being dragged down by negative emotions or destructive feelings. Um, and remember that it's as simple as taking 3 breaths and really experiencing them. And with that, you can leap over your emotions in a single bound. But it's, and that's what it's advising, back to again, grieving is making a conscious choice that being sad and upset about the loss of our abilities, that makes sense, right? That's
Yeah,
normal.
makes sense.
Okay. Well, now we
Okay.
lost that, but we don't want to stay stuck in the grieving.
Okay.
It's the same as grieving the loss of a loved one. You don't stay there. You eventually shift to back to appreciating how they touched you and what they gave to your life. So it's the same with the ability. Okay, I've lost the ability, but okay, like my friend, now I'm going to use a walker. All right. Now I'm going to sit in my bed with these pillows or whatever it is. So it's, oh, and what you might do is, I mean, a simple exercise, if you wanted to share one with him, is to actually list what activities he does enjoy now. We tend to forget that. Again, it's this focus on the negative instead of, oh, okay, wait a minute. I like it when so and so gives me a call, or so and so drops by to visit, or I can have a cup of mint tea, what if it's whatever.
Mm,
But it's an activity that puts a smile on the face, right?
mm, mm.
That's what's important to remember and use. All right. Any other? Did that answer it, Sherry?
Can I share something?
Please.
And I'll be emotional. When my dad was dying, he had been told by his doctors he couldn't drink coffee for, the 5 years
Boy.
before he passed. And I went to visit him in the hospital. He had sepsis. And he said, "Oh, kid, let's have a cup of coffee." I said, "You're not supposed to." He said, "The hell with it." He said, "I can have coffee with you now. Let's have coffee." And it just meant so much
Mm,
to him
Oh,
and me
right.
at that moment where he was
mm.
going. It was, you know, it was okay.
Well, yeah, back to again, recognizing that, all right, how do we prepare for death? And if we know our death is coming, um, all right, then make some, because I have a similar, I went out to visit my grandparents and when I was in my 20s, and they loved ice cream, but their doctors had told them to get off of it. And for some reason, I stopped in a grocery store and I bought their favorite um, types of ice cream that they liked. And I drove back and I delivered the ice cream. And I remember my grandfather looking at me kind of funny, like, I'm not sure we're supposed to have this, but I could tell he really wanted to jump into that small container of ice cream that I had. And I said, given your age, who cares? And he stood up straight and he said, yeah, right. And he grabbed the ice cream.
I think there's something to that in that reclaiming some things for yourself
Yeah.
that have been taken
Makes sense.
away. And now you're at end of life. I've always said, somebody please go get me a whole box of Popeye's fried chicken, please. When
Woo!
No.
Yeah,
We went out with a
almost
bang.
blessed, you know.
right, right. And once you and it sounds like your father, once you recognize, okay, wait a minute, I'm going. Um, a cup of coffee isn't going to make a difference. Right. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay.
Same thing with my family.
Pardon?
Oh, I was sharing something. I did the same thing. When my dad was dying, they kept saying he couldn't have this and have that. My
Yeah.
sisters and I went out and got everything we could get he wanted, and he had a ball.
Yeah. It's the and that's what's so amazing. It's the little things in life that we can tap into that recharge us
Mhm.
and that return us to our powers.
Mm, that's good.
So you can use them. Um,
Can I ask another question?
certainly.
I have signed up for and hope to receive the training this year to become a death doula. Has
Oh,
anyone else experienced that or been associated with a death doula? I'm curious.
Yeah. Mhm.
oh, that's wonderful. Anything you would like to share with us?
Well, I'm just curious if any of you have ever experienced working with a death doula bedside, or if you have any information on it. I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard a lot about it, and I'll go to
Yeah,
Albuquerque and spend 5 days with a woman that's going to train me.
Nice.
wonderful.
Okay.
Sounds intriguing. Yeah, I like that.
People that help mothers, birth,
Right.
and it's just the other end of it. So it's so normal.
Mhm, mhm. Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm.
I
Okay,
think I was
go
just going
ahead.
to bring up something because I know that you mentioned fear,
Yes.
and uh, because I know that there's a lot of fear around a lot of these elements, certainly on the loss of the things that start to go,
Yep.
that start to disappear from you as you're aging, and um, really finding um, a way to uh, acknowledge and embrace the fear because it's not like it's going to change anything. Nothing's going to shift here, maybe, except our attitude. And honestly, that's the only thing that we really have any control over is how we approach it or how we deal with it is going to happen whether we want it to happen or not. So, uh, I guess maybe that might be the conversation for me would be, you know, uh, any kind of process for embracing or handling the fear. Because you mentioned
Mhm,
to Mariana that, if you look at what's underneath it, it's probably fear.
mhm.
Mhm.
So, what suggestions do you have to help handle fear?
Um, Again, it's an interesting that one of the back to again the power of awareness is recognizing that you've got fear. Yes, I'm afraid. Start with that, and then explore what you're afraid of, so that you actually face the fear. Because sometimes fears have been planted in us.
Mhm.
If as children we were always told a certain thing, we may sometimes, and I'm sure you've had clients where that's become everything. The most, one of the most interesting experiences I had with a client was when she told me that she was, she, she, she didn't want her son to have any new experiences. Yeah, because she was afraid what would happen to him.
Mm.
And so how I dealt with that particular fear was, okay, you're afraid of him being hurt with new experiences. Let's go through what he's doing at school. And so slowly she began to lean back after we went through several experiences that he was going through at school. She's like, yeah, those are new experiences. I bit my tongue and didn't say anything. I just said, what a great observation. Right? But it's so the fear, the other aspect of it, of dealing with fear, is recognizing and taking the time to actually explore, where do you hold it in your body? So if it's in your gut, because different fears at different times are dealt with by the body in different ways. But if you actually take the time to explore that, then what you end up doing is you've got resources that you can use to deal with that. So it's and what I have a lot of my clients do is, when they experience the fear, whether it's in their gut or in their legs or wherever, is to stop and then use the breathing practice to breathe in loving kindness and send it to that spot. And then make a choice about where you want to what you want to do regarding the fear. But it's not negating the fear or saying that the fear has to go away. It's merely stating, oh, okay, I'm fearful of fill in the blank, and I will fill in the blank, what you do. Does that make sense?
Well, there's definitely more power to acknowledging it than there is to hide from it. So
Oh, yeah.
there is that desire to just like go stick your head in the sand and not have to acknowledge it at all. I'm just going to pretend like it's not here. But
Right.
there isn't really any tools I can do with that. I can't do anything about. I have to. It works better just to acknowledge it and move through it. Like,
Right. It's again this practice of being aware that, oh, okay, yeah, I've got this fear. So I don't have to lash out at so and so. Instead, what I'm going to do is, gee, next time they show up, I think I'm going to leave, right? Whatever it is that
right.
lets you deal with making a conscious response instead of reacting with fear. Because fear is very powerful. It can cause instant reactions. Mariana?
Yeah, I'm thinking, commented on Sherry's question. For those of us dealing with an elder parent, right? Same situation as Sherry's,
Okay.
it's recognizing the fear in our parent, but also our own fear.
Right.
And I think that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to show him
Right.
that you know that the end is coming, but at the same time, you're trying to help him dealing with all the the losses of his life and
Right.
trying to be there. It's a very difficult place to be, honestly.
Yeah. And so you can recognize that with them. The other is to treat yourself with some kindness. And whether that's okay, gee, had a difficult discussion with dad. Now I'm going to go out and have a favorite, I don't know, cookie or something. Or even just a walk around the block of recognizing, gee, we're all going through this.
I also think that a lot of times fear, if you talk to people about their fear or share your own,
Right.
examining your beliefs around fear, because one of
Yes.
the things, the greatest fears people have is of dying. And
Right.
I'm constantly reframing it as the final goal line. Like that's where we're headed.
It's
All
a
of us. I
transition.
don't care
We
if you're
all got to go through it.
5, you're still headed to the final goal line. So
Right.
how do we reframe death and dying into a sacred experience for all of us.
Well, it's living it
Yeah.
and sharing that attitude that death is one part of life, the life journey. It's interesting having spent so much time in Asia where that's the case.
Mhm.
It is not
Mm.
something horrible or it's, well, it happens. Back to again that great grandmother, as her last days, they set her up on a cot kind of thing in a private room, and anybody, the neighbors or whoever, could go in and spend some time with her. And that was normal. It wasn't, and they all knew she was going to die and went about their day and would stop in and say hello. And I even stopped in and
It's
held her hand.
it's super empowering for the elder, the one who's passing, to have the power in those moments to share the stories or to share the experience. I mean, how are you feeling? What's going on with you? It's so empowering for them.
Well, and also letting them know one of the powerful things you can do is to, instead of dwelling on the fear, is recognize and tell them how much you appreciate their sharing their presence. Just sharing your presence can make a huge difference. You don't have to do anything, say anything, just being there.
My dear, dear friend 2 years ago asked, please, for me to come, and she's in Santa Fe. So I jumped in a car and went. She was going. And I got there and she said, um, what do you want to know? I said, I want to know how you're going to come back and see me. And she says, I'm going to be a white red-tailed hawk. And I have seen eight
That's great.
white hawks since, that happened. Just it was a way for her
Right,
to tell me how she would do it if she could. She doesn't know, but
right.
it was beautiful.
That's wonderful. Yeah, right. Well, and a dear friend of mine who passed recently, she wasn't feeling that well, but she came downstairs and we set up a board game and um it was a
Yeah.
riot. And her husband said he'd never seen us play like that, and we both won. But
Hmm.
it's tapping into the fear and helping using the fear as a warning sign or as a resource. Okay, gee, I'm scared right now, so I'm going to explore blah blah blah. You can read books, you can call friends, you can whatever, or even just adjust your position. Right? How does this feel? So it's but if you're at dealing with the fear, you're on to it. And so it's letting you and your client know that, okay, yeah, these are scary times. So sharing the fear
Mhm.
is also a way to grow and pursue new views. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
Certainly. Yeah.
So, Carol, I popped your email address and the CAP website into the chat.
Okay.
I would like you to talk a little bit about the book that you have coming up, when you are planning on publishing it, and if there's any way to reserve a copy in advance or anything like that.
Oh, just send me an email. The publication's going to happen in the spring of 2026, so it's coming up fast.
Good.
And anything else that you want to tell us about your book?
I think I explained it because it's about being elderific, and there's a whole series of practices that you can use to be Elderific and use your powers that make you great.
Cool.
I think that's wonderful.
Who's publishing it?
I'm going through a self-publishing company.
Good for you.
So,
Ah,
so it'll be
okay.
a paperback. It won't be expensive. So, but yeah, send me your email and I'll send you an announcement.
And did you have any, you said you had some questions that you were, some contemplation questions you had for us.
Well, I think the time is up, so I'm not going to do that.
All right.
I
153.
think people have asked, unless, does anybody else have any other question or comment?
My apologies for being late, but
Oh.
I had clients. But however, I got some good stuff from you, so I want to get that book. Definitely.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for sharing. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
you're welcome. It's a joy.
I love learning.
Me too.
We're learning every day.
Yes.
So-
Every moment is a new beginning. And
It
that's
is.
another little technique I encourage people to do is if you're struggling with something, start a new year with the next moment.
Yes.
Constant renewal.
Yep.
So can you guys be sure to put your book on cap when you
Oh, okay, sure, I'll do that.
that'll be a really good reminder because I see the newsletters and stuff, and I'll definitely, instead of me giving you my, and I'll pass it on to a lot of people. If I have a
Thank you.
copy of it, I'll take it with me to my
All right.
training. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I should show you. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, I think you have the cover, right? Didn't you have the cover
Yeah,
already?
got a cover done. Let's see, where is it? Oops.
Love your screen. That's nice. Okay.
Yeah, I was noticing her screen as well.
Pretty. I love the coloring.
Yeah. Right. Oh, we were talking about hair earlier, so it's like nice contrast with the hair.
Yes. Stands out.
They got walkers and wheelchairs and
Oh, that's cute.
nice.
I like it with their superpowers.
Right.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. It's changing the view of elders in this country. That
Mhm.
aging is something to step into, enjoy, and yes, there's power in it.
Yeah. Our country's our culture isn't great at aging at all. With as many people as are aging as happening, then it's like, come on, we can't figure this out better than this.
Yeah, so I hope the timing is right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. I think you're hitting it.
Thank you, Carol.
Oh, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Carol, for coming and hanging out with us. And again, I have Carol's email in the chat as well as our website for CAP. So if there's anything else that we can do to support you guys, let me know. Next month, I'm going to be doing a presentation on goal setting or intention setting. So if you guys are kind of like to do something like that at the beginning of the year, this is kind of a good opportunity. I am approaching this as a hypnotist, so uh, it's going to have a little bit of visualization stuff in there uh,
Nice.
and some, you got to bring your paper and pencil and whatever. I'm going to probably have a worksheet for you to use to fill out as you're going through the process. And um, just to sort of guide you guys through setting up what you would like to see a little bit in the future. So I hope that you get a chance to come and hang out with us next month as well.